in a dark place laying down on a stone floor. It took about 3 minutes until the least amount of light came into focus. I couldn't see almost anything at all, but I was able to see the outline of stairs leading up to a door with a crack of light underneath it. I was in a basement. Mia had waited for me to go to my friend's house to kidnap me. I looked around at my surroundings checking if there was any windows. There was, but it was only about a foot in height. There was no way a man could fit through it. The basement was so full of dust that my eyes and body started itching like crazy. I started panicking and running around looking for more exits, but there weren't any. When I finally calmed down, I started walking around and looking at everything that was in the basement. There was a washer and a dryer, some old boxes and a cup of water. I downed the cup of water in 5 seconds. It had a weird taste. That's when the cup slipped out of my hand and I fainted again. I woke up to a loud rumbling sound next to me. It was the washer. I stood up. My vision was blurry and I was dizzy. The water I drank had some type of drug in it. There weren't any glasses on the floor, so I figured she picked them up and threw them away. I sat down for hours thinking of different plans to escape, but it was impossible to escape as the door was locked and I couldn't fit through the window. My thinking was interrupted when I heard 5 loud beeping sounds. The washing machine had finished washing. 2 minutes later, the locks on the door started turning to reveal Mia standing in the doorway. The light coming in had blinded me, so I only saw her shadow walking slowly down the steps with a baseball bat in her hand. I found myself running up the stairs to attack her, but as soon as I got close, she swung the bat at my chest, and I fell back down the stairs where my head hit the concrete floor. The sharp pain in the back of my head made my eyes start to tear up. The blood coming out started to gather in a puddle. After she changed the clothes in the washer to the dryer, she said to me, "You didn't have to cheat on me." I don't know what was wrong with this girl, why she was obsessed with me, why she said that, why she killed my friend because we made out, why she was stalking me since I met her, and why she had me trapped in her basement. When she left, I stood up stumbling and walked to the dryer. I got a damp shirt and wrapped it around my head so the bleeding could stop. It helped out a lot, but I would have to change it constantly. I kept thinking of plans and ideas to escape, but the sharp and searing pain in my head didn't let me focus. After about an hour, I thought of a good plan. I would have to do it quick because there were only 4 minutes left for the dryer to finish. I broke the window so she would think I escaped, then I waited until the dryer finished so the beeping sound would notify her. Right when the dryer beeped, I emptied all the clothes out and threw it in a dark corner. I climbed inside it and closed it. Good thing was I could see through the glass of the dryer, but she couldn't see him. The door opened to reveal her body with the baseball bat in hand. When she didn't see me, she pulled out a flashlight and aimed it. She walked quickly down the stairs to the window and started swearing loudly. That was my only chance. I opened the dryer and ran up the stairs, through the door and locked her inside the basement. I quickly looked around and saw my phone and some of my belongings on a glass table in her living room. I ran towards my phone, called 911 and told them I had her locked in the basement. When the cops got here, they came in, guns pointed, walking towards the basement. They opened the door, walked down the stairs pointing their flashlights, then the one in front said all clear. Mia managed to fit through the window and escaped. The cops called back up to look around because she couldn't have gone that far. While the other cops were looking, one of them escorted me out. They took me into an apartment about 30 minutes away from my house. I stayed there for 3 weeks until they said it was safe and let me go. I went back home and everything was going pretty normal. I was going to school and I was working. Everything was good until 2 weeks later. I got home after a long day from work. I was pretty stressed out that day because I also had a ton of homework to do. I was on my laptop when I heard a door creak. I went to see what it was. Everything was normal. I just blamed it on stress and hearing noises in my head. When I got back to my computer, I heard footsteps walking around my house. At this point, I was a bit freaked out. I grabbed my pocket knife and slowly walked out of my room. After looking around my house, I went to use the bathroom. When I finished, I was on my way back to the room when I felt the worst pain in my life. A searing pain that ran throughout my whole back. I looked behind me and saw her. She stabbed me. I ran with trouble but was able to lock myself in the bathroom. Without a phone I couldn't call the police, so I had to take her down. I realized I still had my pocket knife and I was going to use it on her. She started stabbing the door with her knife and running at it with her shoulders. I had a good idea. Next time she ran at the door, I would stick my knife through it and she would get hurt. After the second try, she ran straight into the knife. She let out a loud scream and started getting even more furious. She started sticking her knife at the door wildly. Another good idea kicked into my mind, but it was risky and would hurt my back even more. The plan was to try and kick the knife by the side next time she stabbed the door. If I was able to do that, the knife would bend to the side and get hooked on the door so she wouldn't take it out. When she stabbed the door, I kicked at the knife but missed and it cut a huge gash on my ankle. I almost fell in pain but I kicked at it with my other foot and bent it a little. She struggled to take it out while I was kicking at it until it couldn't bend anymore. At that point I opened the door and threw a punch at her face. I hit her but when she fell back she kicked at my cut ankle. I fell back in pain and she jumped down on me and started to punch me but I blocked all of her hits. I elbowed her in the face so she could fall off. When she fell, I looked over and saw my pocket knife. I started crawling towards it but she stood up and ran to get it. I grabbed her ankle and tripped her. The fall was pretty hard as her elbows crashed down on the tile floors and she screamed in pain. She still was able to get the knife first. She slashed the knife at my face and opened a gash on my cheek. I then tried to kick her and she fell off of me. I looked over to my side and saw a glass cup on a table. I ran to get it and then smashed it on her head. My hands got cut from the glasses and started bleeding like crazy. She tried to run away but I tripped her again and she fell on all the glasses. She started crying and apologizing but I wasn't gonna take it. She killed my friend, stalked me, drugged me, kidnapped me, and did some other stuff too. I got a piece of glass and stabbed her in the back until she dropped the pocket knife. I started feeling kind of bad but I then remembered everything she did. I grabbed the pocket knife and stuck it right through her head. I'm writing this 3 weeks after that. I'm still recovering from my cuts and hashes but there's one thing. I had crawled to my room to call an ambulance and the cops for me. When I called them I stayed in my room. I was in the hospital when the cops told me there was no sign of anybody in my house except me. I moved out shortly after that. Everything is normal now but it bothers me that the cops never saw anything. Maybe they were lying or she really didn't die and escaped.